Jessica here from Stitching Colours and welcome back, or welcome. Today is the 22nd of June 2024 and yesterday was the winter equinox here in New Zealand. So spring is on the way and Luna is unimpressed with me because I sat down to do my video and got all set up and she wasn't very impressed. She wanted to continue sleeping on this chair. But as soon as I arrived, she didn't want to share, so yeah. She's not very happy with me at the moment, I don't think. Hey? So yeah, I haven't done a huge amount of stitching over the last 2 weeks. It's been pretty busy and I've had my defensive driving, which was a work requirement. So that took out 4 evenings because they run from 6:30 to 8:30 on those nights. And then there's a few other things that need to be done for it. And then I've still got the in-person drive to still get all booked in and get done. So at least the classwork side of it is over with and I'll have a little bit more time. Yeah. So, as I said, I haven't worked on a huge number of projects, but I've been pretty happy with the progress I got on the pieces that I did work on. So I only worked on 6 pieces, but I'm really happy with how they're looking. So, to make a start, the first piece I have here today is... we'll go with this one. The one that's got the least amount of progress, which is the Heaven and Earth Designs Stitch Along for 2024. I am not too far away from having the 3rd page finished. I'm still debating over whether I want to stitch the fractional 4th page, whether it's a bird or not. So it's kind of sitting in a wee bit of limbo, but this one got, wrong page, this one got 444 stitches on it, and this is stitched on 25 count 1/1 using CXC, and here it is. So I chose the fox, which was the fairy tales one. So this is based on a snippet from Cairo Marachetti's artwork. And I'm really happy with how the fox is looking. I'm just in debate about this bird. Does it need the bird? Does it not need the bird? I don't know. For the sale, what I need to get finished by the end of the year is this 3rd page and a 4th whole page. So I'm well on the way to achieving that. Luna's just scratching on a scratching post, always the way. Anyway, so yeah, I need to get this little bit of the page finished and then get 1 more page done down here, and that will be the 4 pages I need to get the other 9 charts. I'm still in many ways disappointed that they changed the 1 chart to a AI art piece, but I've kind of gotten over my frustration with it, and I've just gone, well, it's just 1 less piece that I will have as a potential stitching for later on. So it's just one of those things, and there's nothing we can do about it. I mean, there was the option to purchase that individual chart before it was retired for that snippet for $10. You also would not really receive it until the last part in the stitch along was released. So yeah, I decided not to purchase it. I just didn't see it as something that I needed to have, and I still feel that way. So I'm glad I made that decision, but every now and again I go, maybe I shouldn't have, but it's alright. Okay, the next piece I have is my Autumn Dragon. This is a Sheena Pike based artwork charted by Heaven and Earth Designs, and it is currently retired. As far as I'm aware, it won't be re-released or anything like that, at least not through Heaven and Earth Designs. It might come out through another company, you never know. So this is stitched on 25 count 1/1 as well, and this one got 768 stitches on it. So here is where it's at now. You should have already seen where it was at last time. So it's a hard one, this piece. I've been trying to work out how to get all of these edges stitched in. Because the background isn't stitched, but yet you've got all these jagged little edge bits around the edge. So you've got the horn, the leaf up here, and then you've got it going further along. So I kind of think I've worked out a plan, and that was what I was working on most of those stitches on this week when I did work on it. And that is, I chose a rather arbitrary mark, which was here. And I'm kind of just working one box at a time down to that point. And that'll get me the edge done along that top bit, which is the worst bit to stitch because of the jagged starts and finishes and things like that. It really sucks to stitch. It's probably the most frustrating part of it, and in some ways I'd almost wish I'd decided to do a white background or something like that, even though it's not charted for it, just to avoid that jagged bit. But again, it wouldn't help me, because if I did a plain white, it would then look quite weird when you get all the confetti stitched in and all the everything like that, and then have that plain background. So it probably wouldn't work, but at times I go, I really wish I'd had a background on this. So it's just a hard one. I've got a lot of parked threads because I've got these ones at the top that I was working on, and then I've got these previous ones down here. So I've got a little hole in the middle, which we'll work on after I get across the top, at least for this section, and then I'll work down. And that'll give me a lot more to work with in terms of progress and things to look at. But what I will say is it is looking amazing for what's there. So there's another horn over here, which kind of is very similar to this one. It matches up, and then the other half of the ear is behind it. And then we'll be starting to get down further on the dragon, which is really exciting. Yeah. So this one didn't get a huge amount of stitching. Well, it wasn't too bad. I mean, 700 stitches still, so not too bad. It's one of those pieces that has been left to languish longer than it should have. Okay. The next piece I have, we'll go with this one, is the Halloween Afghan that a few of us are working on. So this is the Halloween Village Afghan charted by Stony Creek. And I absolutely love this piece and how it's coming along. So we've got the first, well, Stitching Addicted and I both have the first 10 pages complete just about, and we're working currently, well, I'm currently working on page 15. I think she's just finished it, so I've got a little bit of catching up to do. There's not a huge amount that's remaining on this page, just a little bit of the hat at the bottom and some flowers around the vine. But here's where it's at overall so far. So I'm really happy with this. So we've been working on this just over a year now, and so we've got, once we get to page 15 finished, so it's pages 1 through to 15, so we've still got 14 through to 11 to complete. But once we get that done, we will be halfway down the piece. I'm not saying anything about percentages or anything like that, because the stitching gets a lot heavier in the lower half of the piece, but here I'm really happy with it. And here, getting to this point is really exciting. So what I was working on in particular, let's go here, is I did the checkerboard pattern down to the bottom of the page, the vine, and the tree. So the tree goes on to page 14 and page 9. So there's about 5 or 6 stitches that go up onto page 9, and that's why I decided to go back and do this page, and then I'll probably go back to page 11 and work my way back this direction. So yeah, I'm really happy with how this one's coming along. It could have had a little bit more progress, but it's just one of these things. This one got 1,264 stitches. So all I've got left on this page is there's a hat at the bottom for the girl that starts and pretty much goes right down to the end. And also there's some flowers around this vine, like what was up above. So that's all I've got finished or to go on this page, so that will get done before my next update. And the tree is finished down to the end of the page. So it's just that hat and the flowers with the back stitching on them to go, and then I will move on to the next page and get some more on that tree, which is really cool. I'm really excited seeing how this one's coming along, and given that we are in winter, it's something that's quite easy to work on because it works almost like a lap blanket, but it's not that heavy. So yeah, I mean, I stitched this on 28 count over 2 instead of the charted for 20 count, for any of you that don't know. And this is using 2 over 2 strands of CXC. So I found it really good. We're also using the charted for special colours as well, like the glow in the dark and the Threadworks, I think it is. Week Star Works. Yeah. So I'm really happy with how it's coming along, but I really want to get some more progress on it. Okay, I have got 3 pieces left. So we'll start with this one next. This is Mini Red Queen Red Dragon, which is another Heaven and Earth Designs piece based on the artwork by Elena Lazareva. Sorry, probably butchered that name, much like a lot of the other ones. So this one got 800 stitches, and I absolutely love this piece. It is so much fun to stitch. So here's where I'm at now. You should have already seen where it was last time, but it is amazing. I love how these trees are coming together, and that's saying something. I normally hate stitching trees, and yet this one, the trees are pretty awesome. I love them so far. So currently where I was working was I've finished this top 2 rows, or two boxes I should say, of stitches along this last page, and there's a little small page as well. And so I've got one more box to finish across here, and then I will be going back to this page 1 and finishing page 1. I have to say, I really love these cherry blossom trees. They are so pretty. I guess in some ways it's such a difference to a lot of my pieces. I have a lot of blues and a lot of greens, but I don't have that many pinks and purples. It's such a fun stitch. I've got a few more in the planned stage that might have a bit of pink and such in them, but nothing comparing to this one. So I'm just gonna enjoy it while it's here. Yeah. Okay, I have got 2 more, I think. Already shown that one. This one. Okay. Another piece that has had some really good progress as planned is Archer. So this is a pain-free crafts piece, and many of you will be aware that we are, well, both Stitching Addicted and I are getting pretty close to having this piece finished. So I've currently got less than 12,000 stitches left on it. So it's really coming on. I think it's 12,000. It might be just over 12,000. But it's looking really good and really close to a finish. So Archer over the last 2 weeks got 5,110 stitches on it. So that brought a nice little jump in percentage. So you should have already seen where you saw it last time, but here is where we're at now. So you will see that I have kind of expanded out a little bit on my previous stitching and started stitching a few bits and pieces here and there. That was because I got down to this point where I was working on some of the parked threads that I parked from the previous page. Unfortunately, I hadn't done a very good job with my selecting and parking, in that I had double ups of parked threads. For example, I had one colour that had 7 stitches left and 3 of them were in one box, and I had 3 parked threads of that colour. I don't know where they all came from, but they were there. So I kind of stitched those in and finished that colour, along with quite a few other colours that extended out from where I was working on. So that is why there's a fair bit of stitching over on this side. And yeah, so once I get to the bottom of this little section down here, which probably will happen today, there's not a huge amount left. It's quite deceptive because I've done quite a few pale colours in here, and that's just one of those things. Because I've done a lot of those pale colours in there, it doesn't look as filled in as it is. So once I've done that, I'm going to be continuing over on the side, and I think I'm going to just go through the typewriter method from here to here and just work my way down, and using cross country, I think that will be the best way of going about it. There's going to be a lot of colours that are going to get finished pretty quickly, so it's probably the easiest way of doing it. It's only 2 pages with the cross, which for a pain-free crafts chart is a page is about 2,500 to 3,500 stitches, so it's not a huge jump. So yeah, I'm really excited to have this one finished. And for anyone that hasn't been paying or hasn't heard already, Stitching Addicted and I will both have this finished shortly, but we're planning our next new start as a replacement for this, which is another pain-free crafts piece, and that is the Fairy Tale book one by L Digit. That's who did the artwork originally. It is a really cool looking piece. It's not huge, it's just a little bit bigger than the overall size of this one. It's a little bit more square shaped. So we're planning on starting that on the 1st of January next year as our new start for the new year. If anyone wants to join us, feel free. It's going to be a really fun piece. We're not going to be in any huge rush to get it finished. This one in particular for Archer has taken us about 3 years. I think we started it in 2021. So we're not pushing to have it finished in a very short space of time. It's more just a fun little thing of working on that piece, which looks amazing. And yeah, so if anyone wants to join us in starting it on the 1st of January, or what may end up being the 31st of January or December for those who may be in the US or anywhere in the well, pretty much everywhere outside of Australia and New Zealand, I guess. Feel free, let us see your progress. Would love to see how it comes together. And yeah, I'm just really excited because Archer is so close to being finished. It is so exciting. I think this is at 85%, I think. So it's about 950 stitches for 1%. And yeah, can't wait to work on this again today. So this will get today, tomorrow, and probably one day next weekend. We have a long weekend next weekend, so it'll be good to get some more time on something else. Okay, I have one last project to show. This is another Heaven and Earth Designs piece, and I'm suddenly realizing just how many Heaven and Earth Designs pieces I worked on over the last 2 weeks, but that's all right. Okay, this last one is Dragon Mace into the Night. It is a retired chart. This is the regular version based on the artwork by Rose Khan, and this got 1642 stitches on it. So you should have already seen where you saw it last time. This is what I stitched on for my little Stitch With Me this last weekend. And here's where we're at now. So, looking at where I was working, this tree. I love this tree. It sucks to stitch, but I absolutely love this tree. Hang on. Let me just fold this a little bit more and make it easier on myself holding. Okay, so this tree is spectacular so far. There are so many colours in here. You can see all the wee branches as they work their way down. It is really cool. I'm loving how it's coming along, and I can't wait to get some more progress on it, but I'm not quite sure when it will come back to. Just because I've got so many pieces that are calling to me, they're wanting some stitching. One of them in particular was Deep Ocean, which is another Heaven and Earth one. I started stitching last night. I got 40 stitches on it. And then went, oh no, I'm tired. I'm ready for bed. This was 8 o'clock. Whoops! I was going, if I just lie down for a little bit, I can get back up and do some more stitching later. Did not happen. I slept right through to about 3 a.m. Then woke up for about an hour going, I don't know. not actually really awake, but awake enough, and then went back to sleep. So I guess this week has taken its toll on me, and I'm glad it's the weekend. So yeah. Anyway, I am loving this tree, coming back to it and how it's looking. It's going to get a lot more depth in this when I get further down on the trunk, but it's really exciting. So yeah, it still extends out a bit more. I think it still continues kind of out like that, and yeah, so I am loving this piece. I know some of you may have seen my little comments on my little soapbox in my Stitch With Me in regards to not agreeing or not being overly happy with how the review that another Flosstuber made of comparing the Pain-Free Crafts and the Heaven and Earth Designs chart. It's more come from a place of concern that once people start doing these comparisons, they're not going to stop for some of these charts that are being recharted after they're retired. And is that going to result in less of these charts being available in the long term? Yes. It may make designers a lot more hesitant to rechart these pieces if they know that they are going to be put under a real microscope, I guess would be the way of putting it, or a magnifying glass, to assess the differences of them. Everyone attacks doing a chart in a slightly different way, creating a chart of an artwork, and I think that may end up limiting the community a lot and the availability of patterns. Think of how many people would be really disappointed if they'd never managed to get their hands on this Dragon Race into the Night pattern, regardless of whether it's the Heaven and Earth or the Pain-Free Crafts version, because the artists, or I should say, because the charting companies didn't want to rechart something that had already been charted because of that fear of being compared. Yes, in that comparison that was made, Pain-Free Crafts seemed to have gotten the better end of the stick, but that's not to say they always will, or to say that the other company, you know, the Heaven and Earth Designs, haven't done a spectacular job with the chart. It's all related to what they can do with what they've got, and the artwork and the charts and everything like that. You've got to remember this chart was originally charted in 2020. We're in 2024 now, so even the technology behind doing that charting is increased and improved so much. So I think my big concern is that we're going to lose some of these artworks, the availability of them, once they become retired, and it's going to be a free-for-all as people hunt down versions of those charts, whether they're legal or illegally made. And I honestly would rather see the money from the royalties go through to the artist as opposed to going to someone who may have appropriated the piece of artwork, or even if it's being offered freely. I would much rather it go to the actual artist. So, and I know that charting companies go through a lot of effort to get these all charted. It's not just a click, click, and we're done. It's not that easy. So I will leave it with you and just say that I will see you in a couple of weeks. I don't think I'll have another stitch with me for quite some time. It's a matter of time availability and getting ready and having enough to talk about, that I'm not just feeling like I'm talking for the sake of talking, because that's pretty boring to watch or listen to as you stitch. So yeah, one of those things. I will see you in a couple of weeks. I hope you're all enjoying the stitching time that you have, and that for those of us in New Zealand, that you all enjoy your long weekend for Matariki next Friday. Anyway, have fun, stay safe, and I will see you next time. Bye!